Book 8. 1. To curb your ego, remember that you can no longer claim your whole life, even from your youth, has been worthy of a philosopher. You know, and many others know, just how far you are from true wisdom. You are confused, and it won't be easy for you to gain a reputation as a philosopher now. The circumstances of your life are working against you. So, since you see how things really are, drop any obsession with how people see you. Be satisfied with living however your nature directs for whatever time you have left. Figure out what your nature truly wants, and don't worry about anything else. You have tried so hard and wandered so far, but you have never found happiness anywhere. You didn't find it in logic, wealth, fame, or pleasure. Where is it, then? It is in doing what human nature demands. How do you do that? By basing your desires and actions on solid principles. Which principles? The principles of good and evil. Understand that nothing is good for a person unless it makes them just, self-controlled, courageous, and free. And nothing is evil unless it turns them into the exact opposite of those things. 2. Before every action, ask yourself, how will this affect me? Will I regret it later? I will be dead soon, and all these things will be gone. What more could I possibly want, as long as my current action is right for an intelligent and social being who shares the same natural laws as the gods? 3. Alexander, Caesar, and Pompey, what were they compared to Diogenes, Heraclitus, and Socrates? Those philosophers understood the true nature of things, their causes, and their substance. Their minds were fully aligned. But as for the conquerors, think about how much they schemed for, and how many things they were slaves to. For, people will keep doing what they do, no matter how much you protest. 5. Above all, don't let yourself get upset. Everything happens exactly as universal nature directs. In a little while, you will be gone, just like Hadrian and Augustus. Look closely at whatever happens to you and remember that your only job is to be a good person. Do whatever human nature requires without flinching. Speak your truth fairly, but always with kindness, modesty, and honesty. 6. It is nature's job to move things around, change them, and take them from one place to another. Everything is constantly changing. But there is no need to fear these changes, because everything follows familiar patterns, and everything is distributed equally. 7. Every nature is satisfied as long as it moves forward and prospers. Your rational nature prospers when it refuses to accept false or uncertain ideas, directs its energy toward unselfish goals, and limits its desires and aversions to things it can actually control. It thrives when it cheerfully accepts whatever universal nature decides. Each of us is just a piece of universal nature, exactly like a leaf is a piece of a tree. A leaf belongs to an unthinking system that can be blocked or hindered. But human nature is part of a universal system that is intelligent, just, and unstoppable. It gives everything its fair share of time, matter, energy, and opportunity. Don't expect every single thing to match perfectly with something else. Instead, look at the whole picture of one thing and compare it to the whole picture of another. 8. You may not have the time to read, but you always have the time to stop being arrogant. You have the time to rise above pleasure, pain, and ego. You have the time to let go of your anger toward ungrateful people, and even to treat them with loving care. 9. Don't let anyone hear you complaining about your life at court anymore. Don't even complain about it to yourself. 10. Regret is just a way of blaming yourself for missing out on something useful. Anything truly good has to be useful, and a good person should care about it. But a truly good person would never regret missing out on a chance for pleasure. Therefore, pleasure is neither useful nor good. 11. Look at everything and ask, what is this thing, exactly? What is it made of? What caused it? What is its purpose in the universe? How long is it going to last? 12. When it's hard to drag yourself out of bed, remember that doing things for others is exactly what you were made for. Even animals sleep. But doing what fits your specific nature is what makes you feel right, natural, and truly happy. 13. Use the tools of physics, ethics, and logic to examine your thoughts as often as you can, ideally, every single time you have one. 14. Whenever you meet someone, ask yourself right away, what are this person's principles of good and evil? If they have certain beliefs about pleasure, pain, fame, and death, then their behavior won't surprise me at all. I will just remember that they have no choice but to act that way. 15. Remember that it's just as foolish to be shocked by the things the universe naturally produces as it is to be shocked that a fig tree grows figs. A doctor shouldn't be surprised when someone gets a fever, and a sailor shouldn't be shocked when the wind blows the wrong way. 16. Changing your mind and following someone who can correct you doesn't mean you are giving up your freedom. Making that change is your own action, driven by your own judgment and understanding. 17. If something is within your control, why are you doing it that way? If it's in someone else's control, who are you blaming? The universe or the gods? Blaming anyone is crazy. Don't blame anyone. Fix the root cause if you can. If you can't, at least try to fix the result. If even that is impossible, what good does complaining do? You shouldn't do anything without a clear purpose. 18. What dies doesn't fall out of the universe. It stays here, it changes, and it breaks down into the basic elements that make up the world and you. Those elements change too, and they never complain about it. 19. A horse or a vine is created for a specific purpose. Is that really surprising? Even the sun and the other gods have a job to do. So what were you made for? For pleasure? See if your soul can honestly accept that idea. 20. Nature has a plan for everything. It plans the end of things just as much as their beginning and middle. It's like a person throwing a ball. Is it good for the ball to go up and bad for it to come down? Is the bubble happy when it's whole and sad when it pops? It's the same with a lamp that burns for a while and then goes out. 21. Look closely at the human body and see what it really is. What happens to it when it gets old, sick, or decays? Both the person giving praise and the person receiving it, the one remembering and the one being remembered, are all going to disappear quickly. We live in a tiny corner of the world, and even here, people can't agree with each other, or even with themselves. The entire earth is just a tiny dot. 22. Pay close attention to what is right in front of you, whether it's a principle, an action, or a word. You deserve whatever you suffer because you would rather put off being a good person until tomorrow instead of being good today. 23. Am I doing something? Let me do it to help humanity. Is something happening to me? I accept it, knowing it comes from the gods and the universal source that connects everything together. 24. Think about taking a bath, the oil, the sweat, the dirt, the gross water. It's disgusting. That's exactly what every part of life is like. 25. Lucilla buried Verus, and then she died soon after. Secunda watched Maximus die, and then she died too. Epitynchinus buried Diotimus, and then Epitynchinus was buried. Antoninus mourned Faustina, and then people mourned Antoninus. Sylla buried Hadrian, and then Sylla was buried. Everyone goes exactly the same way. What about those clever people who predicted the future or thought so highly of themselves? Where are they now? Where are the brilliant minds like Charax, Demetrius, and Eudaemon? They were here for a day, and now they are long gone. Some were forgotten right after they died, some turned into myths, and some faded out of the stories completely. Remember this, the fragile mixture that makes up your body will eventually scatter. The tiny breath of life inside you will either go out or move on to somewhere else. 26. A person's true joy is doing exactly what they were meant to do. And what you are meant to do is be kind to others, rise above your physical senses, question your own assumptions, and appreciate universal nature and everything it creates. 27. We all have three main relationships: first, to the physical body that surrounds us; second, to the divine source that creates everything; and third, to the people we live with. 28. Pain is either bad for the body, in which case the body should complain, or it's bad for the soul. But the soul has the power to stay calm and refuse to see pain as a bad thing. Your judgments, choices, desires, and aversions are all inside your soul, where no external evil can reach them. 29. Wipe away your false assumptions and tell yourself often, I have the power right now to keep my soul completely free of wickedness, lust, and chaos. Because I see things as they really are, I can handle everything perfectly. Never forget this power that nature has given you. 30. Whether you are speaking in the Senate or anywhere else, be dignified rather than flashy. Make sure your words are always genuine and solid. 31. Think about the court of Augustus. Think about his wife, his daughter, his descendants, his ancestors, his sister, Agrippa, his relatives, his close friends, Arius, Maecenas, his doctors, and his priests. Death took them all. Now think about the death of an entire family line, like Pompey's. Think about those tombstone inscriptions that say, he was the last of his bloodline. Think about how desperately those ancestors tried to leave an heir. But eventually, someone has to be the last, and the entire family dies with them. 32. Build your life one action at a time. If each action accomplishes its goal as well as it can, that is enough. Nobody can stop you from doing that. But you might say, what if something outside my control gets in the way? Nothing can stop you from being fair, self-controlled, and wise. You might argue, but what if my specific plan is ruined? That's fine. Accept the obstacle calmly and pivot to whatever is still in your control. That new action will fit perfectly into the steady life we are talking about. 33. Accept the gifts of fortune without arrogance, and let them go without a fight. 34. Have you ever seen a hand, a foot, or a head cut off and lying dead on the ground? That's what you do to yourself when you complain about your fate, isolate yourself from other people, or act selfishly. Are you cutting yourself off from the natural unity of the world? Nature made you a part of the whole, but you have severed yourself from it. The amazing thing is that you can always reattach yourself. God hasn't given that kind of privilege to any other broken piece. Look at how much God has honored humanity. He gave us the power to stay connected to the whole, and even if we break away, He lets us come back and grow into it again. 35. Universal nature gives every rational being almost all of its own abilities. Just as nature takes whatever blocks its path and forces it into the grand design, you can take any obstacle and use it to reach your own goal. 36. Don't overwhelm yourself by imagining your entire life all at once. Stop dwelling on all the massive problems you might face in the future. Instead, when you face a challenge, ask yourself, what is so unbearable about this specific moment? You will be embarrassed to even admit it. Remember that neither the past nor the future can actually hurt you. Only the present moment matters. And the present moment is much easier to handle if you just keep it in its proper boundaries. Challenge your own mind if it can't even endure one single moment. 37. Are Panthea and Pergamus still crying at the tomb of Verus? Are Chabrias and Diotimus still mourning Hadrian? That's ridiculous. Even if they were still mourning, would the dead know about it? If they knew, would they care? And if they did care, could those mourners live forever? Wasn't it their destiny to grow old and die anyway? What would the famous dead people do once their loyal mourners were gone? All that exhausting grief was just for a fragile body full of blood and decay. 38. If you have sharp vision, as the philosophers say, then use it wisely. 39. When I look at human nature, I don't see any built-in desire to fight against justice. But I do see a built-in desire for self-control to fight against physical pleasure. 40. If you just let go of your opinion about whatever seems to be hurting you, you will instantly be on solid ground. What is that you? It is your reason. But you might say, I am not just my reason. Fair enough. In that case, don't let your reason upset itself. If some other part of you is hurting, let it keep its own opinions to itself. 41. Losing a sense is bad for an animal. Being blocked from a natural instinct is bad too. Plants suffer when their natural growth is blocked. In the exact same way, anything that blocks your mind is bad for your rational nature. Apply this to yourself. Do pleasure and pain affect you? That's a problem for your senses. Did something block your plans? If you made those plans without leaving room for failure, then that blockage is genuinely bad for you as a reasoning person. But if you planned with an open mind, you aren't actually hurt or blocked at all. No one can block the work of your mind. Fire, swords, tyrants and rumors can't touch it. When your mind is perfectly round and complete like a sphere, it stays that way. 42. I have no right to make myself miserable, since I have never purposely made anyone else miserable. 43. Different people enjoy different things. My joy is keeping my mind healthy, without hating anyone or complaining about whatever happens to humanity. Let me look at everything with kind eyes, accept it all, and value everything exactly as it deserves. 44. Make sure you get the most out of the present moment. People who chase after fame and want to be remembered after they die forget that future generations will be exactly like the annoying people they deal with right now. Those future people will be mortal too. Why should you care what they say about you or what they think of you after you are gone? 45. Pick me up and throw me wherever you want. The divine spark inside me will stay completely calm. It will be satisfied as long as its thoughts and actions match the laws of its own nature. Is any single event important enough that my soul should suffer or break down over it? Should my soul become pathetic, terrified, or completely defeated? You won't find anything in the world worth all that. 46. Nothing can happen to a person that isn't a normal human experience. Nothing happens to an ox, a vine, or a stone that isn't natural for them. If everything only experiences what is normal and natural, why are you getting angry? Universal nature will never give you a burden you can't carry. 47. When you are upset about something outside of your control, the thing itself isn't what's hurting you. It's your own judgment about it. And you have the power to erase that judgment instantly. If you are upset about your own bad habits, who is stopping you from changing your principles? If you are upset because you haven't started some project that you know is important, stop complaining and just do it. You might say, but a stronger force is stopping me. Then stop worrying about it. It's not your fault you couldn't do it. You might say, but my life isn't worth living if I don't get this done. Then go ahead and leave this life peacefully. Accept your death the same way you would have accepted completing the project, and don't hold any grudges against the things that stopped you. 48. Remember that your mind is invincible when it pulls back into itself and refuses to do anything it doesn't want to do, even if it's just being stubborn. So imagine how strong it is when it makes a logical, well-thought-out decision. A soul free from toxic emotions is an absolute fortress. You will never find a safer place to hide and become invincible. Anyone who doesn't realize this is just ignorant. Anyone who knows it but still refuses to seek shelter there is truly miserable. 49. Don't add anything to your first impressions. If someone tells you that so-and-so was talking trash about you, that is the only thing they are telling you. They aren't telling you that you are hurt by it. I see that my child is sick. That's all I see. I don't see that he is going to die. Stick to what is right in front of you and don't let your mind spin out of control. If you do that, nothing can hurt you. Or better yet, just recognize that everything is a normal part of the world. 50. Is the cucumber bitter? Throw it away. Are there thorns on the path? Walk around them. That's all you need to do. Don't start complaining, why do things like this even exist in the world? A scientist would laugh at you. So would a carpenter or a shoemaker if you started complaining about the wood shavings or leather scraps on their shop floor. The difference is that those craftsmen have a trash can. Universal nature has nowhere outside of itself to throw its trash. The incredible thing about nature is that, even within its own limits, it takes everything that seems broken, old, or useless and recycles it into brand new things. It doesn't need outside materials, and it doesn't need a garbage dump. It is perfectly happy with its own space, its own materials, and its own process. 51. Don't be lazy in your actions, messy in your conversations, or vague in your thoughts. Don't let your soul shut down or suddenly fly off the handle. Don't rush through your life. People might kill you, cut you to pieces, or curse your name. What does any of that have to do with keeping your mind pure, wise, sensible, and just? Imagine someone standing next to a crystal-clear spring of water and screaming insults at it. The spring just keeps bubbling up fresh water. Even if they throw mud or manure into it, the spring will wash it away instantly and stay perfectly clean. How do you get a living spring like that inside yourself? By constantly defending your own freedom with calmness, simplicity, and modesty. 52. Anyone who doesn't understand what the universe is doesn't know where they belong in it. Anyone who doesn't understand why the universe exists doesn't know who they are or what the world actually is. And if you are missing either of those pieces of knowledge, you can't even explain why you exist at all. So what should you think of someone who desperately chases the applause, or fears the anger, of people who don't even know where or what they are? 53. Do you really want praise from someone who curses themselves 3 times an hour? Do you want to impress someone who can't even impress themselves? How can anyone be happy with themselves when they regret almost everything they do? 54. Don't just settle for breathing the same air as everyone else. Start tuning your mind to the intelligence that surrounds everything. The power of that universal intelligence is just as available and pervasive to anyone who tunes into it as the air is to anyone who breathes it. 55. There is no massive cloud of evil floating around hurting the world. And one person's evil actions can't really hurt anyone else. It only hurts the person doing it. And even they have the incredible privilege of dropping that evil the second they choose to. 56. I care as little about someone else's will as I care about their physical body and their breath. Even though we were made for each other, our minds each have their own independent power. If they didn't, someone else's flaws could make me miserable. God made sure that wouldn't happen, so no one else has the power to ruin your happiness. 57. The sun seems to shine everywhere and cover everything, but it never runs out of energy. Its light stretches out, which is why the Greek word for a sunbeam comes from the word for stretching. You can see how a beam of light works if you watch it shine through a tiny hole into a dark room. It travels straight ahead, and when it hits a solid object that blocks it from going any further, it just bounces off. It stays right there and doesn't slip away or fall down. Your mind and your understanding should flow exactly like that. It should never run out, and it should always keep expanding. It shouldn't smash violently into the obstacles in its way, and it shouldn't just fall flat. It should rest right on the obstacle and light up whatever is willing to receive it. If something refuses to reflect the light, it just leaves itself in the dark. 58. If you are afraid of death, you are either afraid of feeling absolutely nothing, or you are afraid of feeling something new. If you feel nothing, you can't feel any pain. If you feel something new, you will just be a new kind of creature, and you will still be alive. 59. People were made for each other. So either teach them to be better, or put up with them. 60. Your mind moves differently than an arrow does. Even when the mind is being careful or looking around at all its options, it is still moving straight toward its goal. 61. Get inside the minds of other people, and let them get inside yours. End of Book 8.